Salutations and welcome to yet another episode of Gamer's Guide. I'm Jemarc the Gamer Guy, and I thought today was the perfect opportunity to get sexy. Sorry. But like, not sorry? In actuality, today we are covering Bayonetta. And while Bayonetta may have a lot of gratuitous, well, this, it actually has a lot to offer in regards to philosophical discussion. And while some of you may be tempted to look at Bayonetta as an allegory for Christianity, this can be a bit problematic. Because while Bayonetta may have a lot of Christian influences, it actually draws from a multitude of different religions. Instead, what Bayonetta explores is truth. What is the difference between objective and subjective truth? And how does this difference define our reality? While playing through Bayonetta, we also discovered that perhaps objective truth doesn't exactly exist. Or at least in the way that we think it does. Now, for those of you who didn't play the original version of the game or the Wii U port and haven't yet gotten the Switch port and don't plan on playing it through yet, just so you know, as usual, spoilers ahead. The game opens with Bayonetta wearing a white nun's habit. Its color implies purity and the expected imagery of what a woman should be.
After the spanking, the oral sex.
But this supposed nun doesn't exist to destroy demons. Instead, Bayonetta tears off her sexy nun outfit and murders angels descending directly from heaven, with guns, that she shoots from her feet? Step aside, Christian Bale in Equilibrium. Your gun-fu has nothing on this woman. As you progress through the game, you come to learn that Bayonetta awoke from a 500-year sleep with little recollection of who she is or why she can do really awesome things. The answer?
But she's a witch!
It turns out, Bayonetta is a member of the Umbra Witches, a society of people charged with maintaining balance in the world by keeping a watchful eye over darkness, while their counterparts, the Lumen Sages, maintain balance through the light. Both factions guard one half of the eyes of the world, which are used to oversee the passage of time. The Umbra Witches hold the left eye, and the Lumen Sages the right eye. For the sake of furthering the plot, Bayonetta discovers that the only way to learn about the truth of her past and who she is to hunt down the right eye of the world, and hunt she does. Bayonetta's quest to find the right eye is less about fighting angels, and more about discovering the truth of her origins, who she is, and why she is so damn good at pseudo-walk-off battles. The philosophical question of who am I is something that has puzzled philosophers, poets, and general existentialists for as long as introspective thought has existed. Greek philosopher Plutarch tackles this question with his thought experiment, the Ship of Theseus, or Theseus' Paradox, in his early work, The Life of Theseus.
A lot of uses.
According to Greek mythos, Theseus was the mythical king of Athens, most well known for slaying the evil Minotaur, and returning home on a ship. For 1,000 years afterwards, the Athenians maintained Theseus' ship in the harbor and would annually reenact his voyage. Each time a part of the ship was worn or damaged, it would be replaced by a perfectly identical piece, until, eventually, no original parts remained, thus asking the question, is this still the same ship, or is it an entirely different ship? Some philosophers would argue that the ship is still the same as these changes were made gradually, while others would argue that the ship could not possibly be the same, as the man Theseus himself would never have set foot on any part of the modern-day ship. This question can be similarly asked of Bayonetta. Who is she if she does not remember her past? Surprisingly, the game does take a stance on this, because, as it turns out, Bayonetta is a little girl. Well, to be more precise, this little girl is Bayonetta as a child. Bayonetta's true identity is Cereza, the blasphemous love child of an Umbra witch and a Lumen Sage. But that is who Bayonetta used to be, in every sense of the word. Bayonetta the woman is no longer the same as Cereza the child, any more than Theseus' ship is the exact same ship as it was in the start of its story. And this is not just because she literally lost her memories and had to come to her own conclusions about who she is. Bayonetta's experiences and her values are all entirely different than that of a little girl. Cereza hails Bayonetta, or her mummy, as a hero and a protector.
My mummy is strong, and she protects me from scary monsters.
Whereas Bayonetta as a woman is self-serving. She doesn't help people unless it interests her.
Rodan should be paying me for even touching these toys.
This leads into our first look at subjective truth and subjectivity. According to ridiculously sexy Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, subjectivity is to which the individual, and no one else, has. No one can have an individual's past, present, or future. For Bayonetta, this divide is even greater and more literal, as the experiences of young Cereza are absolutely nothing like the experiences of the older Bayonetta, which, in normal instances, would be applicable because of the passage of time, but this is an even greater possibility because of Bayonetta's amnesia.
She is the key to your future.
Before we can discuss Bayonetta's reconciliation with her past, we need to take a deeper look into journalist and self-proclaimed ladies' man, Luca, and his own perception of truth. If Bayonetta's truth comes with identity, Luca's truth is the defining difference between objective and subjective truth as a concept. Luca is a journalist, a profession which seeks out truth and shares supposed objective truth with the public, which is not always successful.
But they're so upset that this president is winning for the American people because it invalidates everything they've been saying for the last 2 years.
To Luca's colleagues, his pursuit of Bayonetta is utter bollocks.
Sure, my colleagues laugh at me for chasing fairy tales, amongst other things.
The rest of humanity isn't very savvy to the existence of the literal war between heaven and hell. But to Luca, and to us as the game players, this is an objective truth. Witches exist, angels exist, and a lot of murder happens.
Which is a shame, because the truth is always going to be the truth.
To Kierkegaard, the difference between objective and subjective truth has much to do with what is inside versus what is outside. That is to say, what we can see, feel, touch, and smell as individuals is subjective, whereas objective truth relies on the unity of multiple subjective perspectives. The world we live in is comprised of things that could be defined as objectively true. Dragon Ball Super is an anime, Kylo Ren is a cat, and eating Tide Pods is dangerous. Whereas in certain scenarios, subjectivity can have a strong impact upon what the truth may be. Some people prefer coffee over tea, and some people prefer dogs over cats, and some people think the earth is flat. Wait, no, just no! The earth is not flat, stop that! Bad! Should be ashamed of yourself. For Luca, his pursuit of truth relies on two factors. The first is in proving to humanity that witches are real, and the root of all evil. And the second is to get Bayonetta to admit to murdering his father years ago, which she didn't do. But a lot of what controls the narrative of truth is dependent on sight, and being able to see the whole picture. Bayonetta, the game, not the woman, plays with this idea of perception and truth in many clever ways. For example, Luca can only see Bayonetta when she travels into his world from the parallel world Purgatorio, which is essentially the game's get-out-of-jail-free card for fighting otherworldly beings without anyone witnessing the carnage. To Luca, Bayonetta's battles are the result of her tormenting him, and, through his point of view, Bayonetta murdered his father. And when you see your dad die and the only one around is a floating woman, well, that kinda stays with you.
Father!
Luca finds meaning and solace in the fact, quote-unquote, that he thinks he is objectively right. His father is dead, and the only person around to blame is that witch.
The truth will set me free from your black stain on my life.
He often works to take photos of Bayonetta that are, no, not that. I mean, like this. Luca attempts to take photos of Bayonetta to expose the truth to the world. He relies on sight to reveal this truth. His actions are defined by his own subjective definition of what is right and what is wrong. And this truth is where Luca finds his own identity. By defining himself as a journalist, much like his father, who seeks to expose the Umbra witches for the evil they are and prove the existence of otherworldly beings, he is able to guide his own narrative. He takes truth based on his own perception, and how he sees it is how things are.
I can't believe that witch, placing a poor helpless child under her spell.
But this can be problematic, as his eyes do not function at a higher level of reality. It is not until Cereza offers for Luca to wear her glasses that he can see the truth of the world around him.
Look at these!
Bayonetta's battles were never a case of her tormenting him, but the actions of a woman seeking to destroy as many angels as possible. And the person responsible for killing his dad is, well, we'll get to that. But wait, I hear you say, dear viewers, sitting in your dark rooms and wondering why I haven't made content in 9 months. If Bayonetta is killing angels, doesn't that mean she is evil? Well, that leads us to our next point, theological truth. Today should have given you a sense of the difference between objective and subjective truths. If you live your entire life based on following only one truth, your truth, you may not see the real bigger picture of everything. Luca wasted 20 years of his life trying to find his true killer, believing it was Bayonetta, and Bayonetta lived her life without knowing exactly who she was. Now, as you may have seen in the video, there are 2 points we have not quite gotten to. What happens when Bayonetta reconciles with her past? And what happens when Luca finds out the truth behind who killed his father? All of this and more next week when we cover theological truth and the impact it has on everyone in the next episode of Gamer's Guide. Thanks for watching. Hey everyone, if you liked that episode, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Of course, hit that bell for more notifications, and if you want more Gamer's Guide, click here for the previous episode, or click here to watch Peace, Love, and Geekdom, the show where I get to interview really awesome people and give away all the neat things they make. You definitely don't want to miss out on this last interview I did with Red Essence Games, the game developers of Mask of Semblance. Thanks for watching.